Hi, how you doing? Today I'm going to talk about the topic of fasting and one part of what fasting should be for the Christian according to what I believe, according to what the scripture says. And I've heard of churches that have done this before too, and so it's not something which is foreign to church or foreign to the scriptures, but basically I'll just describe what it is straight up. It's the idea that when a person fasts, that let's say it was in the middle of Africa somewhere. Okay, so we won't even say that it's here in our Western sort of civilization, because a lot of these things were written in places which might be more typically like Africa. In some of the African churches, they actually go without meals. They fast and they share the food which they save with the people that are around them. Okay, so this is churches that are doing that in Africa. Okay, and so this is what I believe that fasting should be. Isn't just to go hungry and starve yourself, but it's to actually go without food so that the poor can have something more than would normally be able to give. We all have budgets and we all have a certain amount of money that we can give to the poor, and we should be doing that all the time. But there comes a point that you can't give any more. Okay, there's nothing physically more you can do. So a fast is going without food for a time so that you can use that resource to help the poor. And you might say, well, does the Bible say anything about that? Well, I believe that it does suggest that in two places, and I'm going to share that right now. In Isaiah, it talks about, and I'm just going to read it now, so I might look off to the side here to read, but it goes on about the fact that they were debating and arguing and doing all these sorts of things, exploiting their workers, and then they were fasting. And the Lord was saying, well, hey, is this the type of fast that I've chosen? He goes, is this the fast that I've chosen? A day for a man to afflict his soul? Is it to bow down his head like a burr bush and spread sackcloth and ashes under him? Will you call this a fast and acceptable day of the Lord? And then he goes on to say, is this not the fast that I've chosen, to loose the bonds of wickedness, to undo the heavy burdens? So that's where I was talking about afflicting their workers. They had to take off those heavy burdens and let the oppressed go free, that you break every yoke. Is it not to deal your bread to the hungry, and that thou will bring the poor that are cast out into your house, and when you see the naked, that you cover him, and that you hide not yourself from your own flesh? God then goes on to say, then shall your light break forth as the morning, and shine, health shall spring forth speedily, and thy righteousness shall go before thee, and the glory of the Lord shall be your reward, your rear guard. Okay, so he's saying here that a fast isn't just to afflict yourself. It's not just to be feeling bad about yourself. I know when I was first a Christian, I used to think, oh, well, fasting is just being, humble, and, you got to feel bad internally or whatever, and that is somehow showing reverence for God. What it's saying here is, he says, it is not an acceptable fast to be having your head like a burr bush. What does he say here? Or to afflict your soul. So that's not what a fast is about. It's not about affliction of the soul. It's about acting justly. And the second part of the verse was, is it not to deal your bread to the hungry and bring the poor that are cast out into your home? So in a civilization where they were, he's saying, look, yes, there is such a thing as fasting, but it's to bring the poor into your home and to feed them, to look after them, to clothe them. And so, there's other hints in the New Testament too that that's what fasting is about, because when you see the passage on fasting in the New Testament, straight after that it's talking about, do not store up for yourself treasures on earth, where moth and rust destroy and where thieves break in and steal. And it talks about giving to the poor, it talks about helping the needy. So again, in the passage where Jesus is talking about fasting, directly after that he's talking about giving to the poor. So that should be our focus.
There's a bug in the room.
Okay, baby. My son's just here. He's got a bug in the room. Hopefully he's not hungry enough that he has to eat it. Okay, I'll go now. Bye.